That be Mystery Bell.
Hello, guys. This is Mike. This is my brother Mark.
Hello.
Pray that you're enjoying these talks. It's been a blessing to me looking at these thoughts. And then we're continuing our talk on the tribe of Manasseh. I was going to include some of the famous people in the Bible from each tribe. So the tribe of Ephraim, probably the most famous from the tribe of Ephraim is, I would say, Joshua. Joshua was from the tribe of Ephraim. Another really major important character, I would say, is Elijah. Elijah was actually from the tribe of Ephraim, actually, the great prophet Elijah. So there's some pretty powerful people, very known people. And two men of war. They're other than Joshua, so a lot of the tribe of Joseph actually were some pretty good men of war. A fellow named he was named Jephthah and Jer of Gilead and Jehu. They were a lot of these Jephthah and Jer. They were judges, and Jehu was someone that was in the time of Jezebel. He was the one who was used as a judgment against evil people in the kingdom of Israel at the time. So, and he was from the tribe of Ephraim, and I can say them probably the most famous person from the tribe of Manasseh was again a man of war. His name was Gideon. If you ever know about Gideon, and Gideon was saying, "I'm from the least tribe, and I'm from the least family of the least tribe." That was his thinking, because he was saying, and this is where you get the idea again of the 13th tribe, and some of these ideas. One of them being the arrows. And that comes from the bow. It's talking about a bow. We read those scriptures earlier. That's one of the signs of the tribe of Manasseh. And again, the cross arms. Wherever that is, that's where a lot of the tribe of Manasseh ended up. One of the places where they ended up, again, was a place in the area called East Anglia. Then there was, and a lot of the people from East Anglia, they were the actual people that went on to Plymouth. And there were the huge majority of people they were from the tribe of Manasseh, and they were originating from East Anglia. That's the part of England where most of these people, the original settlers, came from. That actually can be backed up. I thought that was an interesting information.
Yes.
That's
something I'd like to point out. The reason why we say that dominantly that Manasseh is America is very important to realize that they started with 13 colonies. They had 13 stars, 13 stripes to start out. And it's on their heraldry. They have the arrows. They have the olive branch. They have the eagle, which actually points out other tribes of Israel were among them. Because the side of the eagle is actually for tribe of Dan. So when we see this in the heraldry on flags and coat of arms, it's actually telling you that there's multiple tribes of Israel in that place. So that's why we're saying all along that we're explaining where large groups or of a population of a certain tribe are living and went or settled in. But there's also always other tribes there. And again, we can always trace back that along with these tribes also you'll find Levites. There are people with the name Kohan, and so we know there's Kohathites also in America, so we know that. And just the numbers of the arrows and the stars and the stripes and the colonies, it gives you that indication they know who they were. They have Washington Monument comes from Egypt, because Manasseh was born in Egypt. And they have the pyramids with all seeing eye and some of the bills. And some of the secret societies also carry these symbols. So it's pointing very clearly that there's a strong influence from the tribe of Manasseh in America. So we want to look at where America falls into history. We have to read about the prophecies for the tribe of Joseph, prophecies for Manasseh individually. This is how we know where America fits in prophecy and where it does not.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for that. I want to go into a little bit of the tribal names of some of the names of Manasseh. I remember it said Manasseh means to forget. He had a son named Machir, and Machir can be linguistically Amiri, or so you can see where it comes, where you get the idea of America, and that name Amerigo was a name that was a derivative of Machir on the Hebrew. So that's why there were actual people from Italy that were from the tribe of Manasseh, and Greece, an area called, they were Dorians. They were known as Dorians, and Dor was a coastal city on the boundary of Manasseh and Asher. And the Asherites were the seafaring ones that were with the Phoenicians in the time of Solomon. But the Manasseh was the more warlike tribe of between the two. But the tribe of Asher was actually pretty warlike too, but they were more seafaring than the tribe of Manasseh. But that's where some of the tribe of Manasseh ended up, is in Italy and Greece. We can see that in some of the heraldry as well. The name Amerigo, America, that's where you get that. That's where it comes from, that Machir, the son of Manasseh. We can find the tribe of Manasseh not just East Anglia, but also in a place called Caledonia. Caledonia is derived from Gilead, which was where East Manasseh, they owned land in Gilead. And that's where they get Caledon from Gilead. And also there's Mechirites that were where you get in a region of England called Mercia. It was its own kingdom, and that kingdom was predominantly Mechirites living in that area. And so they had a kingdom, and it was called Mercia, and that was in England, because England was broken up in different little kingdoms earlier on, before they were united under a later king. An Anglo-Saxon king became an Anglo-Saxon kingdom, but before that they had all kinds of different kingdoms with all the different tribes. Probably England has some of the most tribes, other than all the desolate heritages. All the desolate heritages that were inherited by the tribes of Joseph have all the other tribes in them. All the different tribes can be found in them. And that goes again with that prophecy again about them bringing all the different tribes together. That's part of the thing that they said tribe of Joseph would do. And they did that also, bringing the gospel, bringing people together in believing and having Yeshua the Messiah and the gospel being spread. That was predominantly done through the tribe of Joseph. Manasseh, America, and England.
Yes.
And the countries that were the desolate heritages, like Australia and Canada and South Africa and countries like that.
And what I'd like to point out is that when all the age and times of punishment ended for all the tribes of Israel, the tribe of Joseph was instrumental to bringing Israel as a nation again, where people could come back, and that nation was reformed to fulfill all this prophecy. So they're bringing everything together. And after the World War I and World War II, Israel was set up and established as a nation. And for other prophecies of the two sticks, we're saying that all of the tribes would be reunited through Christ at some later date. Prophecy hasn't happened yet, but because Israel received a nation as recently, it tells you that these prophecies are not all fulfilled, but they are ongoing. And you can see these prophecies about the tribes of Joseph, and we're at work here.
And one last point I was going to make is Machir, according to some Hebrew meaning, it means price. So that talks about the capitalistic approach and a capitalistic attitude in the tribe of Manasseh. And also, again, there was another aspect that I could touch up on is they had a lot of land. and America's a very large country, and people of Manasseh were known for their cattle. They liked, again, there was another tribe that liked cattle, and that was the tribe of Reuben. And they have sort of, they've had sort of that little bit of, they lived beside each other, and big surprise, they were found close to each other as well in northern France. And then you just go across the water and you have Manasseh. So they were close by each other. So there's another aspect of the tribe of Manasseh that I wanted to say about, is that they liked to have a lot of land, and they were agricultural land. That's where that sheaf, the sign of the sheaf, comes from, with the tribe of Joseph, that they would have a lot of agricultural land given to them. That's part of the blessing of the land they were talking about. Blessing on the sea was the naval dominance of England, or the tribe of Ephraim, which is the tribe of Joseph. America has a dominant navy as well. And it said they would possess the gates of their enemies, and that's exactly what happened. And so that's really important to make that point. So I'm going to leave the tribe of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim there. This is a big topic. There's way more prophecies when it talks about Ephraim. It talks about the drunkards of Ephraim. It talks about judgments upon Ephraim. And a lot of times when they say Ephraim, they actually mean the 10 tribes of Israel in prophecy. It doesn't necessarily mean it's only for the tribe of Ephraim. But here's something I want to make sure. When it says Ephraim, it's not talking about the Jews. These are judgments. When it says Ephraim, it's not talking about the Jews. As simple as that. Not talking about the Jews, the tribe of Benjamin and half tribe of Levi. It's not talking about those. They're talking about the 10 tribes of Israel when they're talking Ephraim. Sometimes it specifically talks about Ephraim, but a lot of the time these prophecies are speaking about 10 tribe Israel, because Jeroboam was the first king of Israel, and he was from the tribe of Ephraim, or the tribe of Joseph. And it said it would be central, and that it would have the crown. And we can see that's what I was talking about. The British monarchy was the ones that fulfilled this prophecy. And what we can see is also they have this strong Ephraimite aristocracy kind of tinge to them. But also, let's not forget that all of the royalty was going to come from the line of David, of Judah. So, or the Jews that were under the line of King David. And that's actually has been substantiated by genealogists, famous genealogists in England, who even presented it to Queen Victoria and said, yes, you're a descendant of King David. And they clearly showed from each line. And what's really fascinating is Elizabeth II, Queen Elizabeth, is the 153rd descendant of King David. And there's a prophecy talking about fish and talking about being drawn out, 153 fish. And I thought that was very, very interesting. I'm not going to make any thing. I just make any conclusions, but I just thought it was very interesting that she's the exact 153rd descendant. And how we know is that this throne will be taken over by Yeshua the Messiah in Jerusalem. And he is from the line of King David, because we know that. How do we know that? Is because his parents, Joseph and Mary, they went to Bethlehem, Judah, to be when they were taxed, and you had to go where your family came from, of your family of origin, where you came from, and Yeshua's family came from Bethlehem, Judah, and David came from Bethlehem, Judah. So there's a very clear connection there. David was a king, and he was a shepherd, and Jesus is a great shepherd, and he's the King of Kings. Very clear distinction there. I don't know why I went through that, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that there's that crown aspect of Ephraim there too, and how that ties in with everything. So I wanted to make sure that everyone knew.
So when you read the prophecies over the tribe of Joseph, the blessings are true, all for the tribe of Manasseh, excluding the crown. I want to make that clear. So when you want to understand which prophecy of of the tribe of Joseph is for Manasseh and which one's for Ephraim, one with these Manasseh was the one they said would be a great nation, which America certainly is, and they said that Ephraim would be a company of nations. So we know we don't. That's how we keep them separate and we don't get mixed up. And which prophecies are for which group.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also we know by their heraldry who's tribe of Ephraim and who's the tribe of Manasseh. So based on the heraldry that we explained, then you can tell and track it. So again, there are common symbols for the tribe of Joseph that are used in the tribe with the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh interchangeably, but certain ones are used more for one tribe than the other. For example, the bull is used more for Ephraim. Manasseh doesn't use the bull as much, but Manasseh does use the bull because the Dorians or the Spartans carried on, and the ones in Greece, the Manasseh in Greece took on the bull as well. But mostly the bull was Ephraim, and the unicorn, for the most part, was tribe of Ephraim, took that symbol as theirs. The crossed arms one was mostly taken by Manasseh. The bow, the sign of the bow, was taken mostly by tribe of Manasseh. And the olive branch and also the sheaf was more used for the tribe of Manasseh than the tribe of Ephraim. So just wanted to make that known. And so there's one last point I want to make about the tribe of Manasseh. Again, there was two portions, the West Manasseh and East Manasseh. The western portion ended up in mainly the British Isles and America and that area of the world. And there were actually, again, not all of the East Manassites ended up in that area because remember, they were on the east side. So they were close to Persia and all those places. So there's actually a group of people called the Beni Manasseh in northern India, or I should say Beni Manash, Beni Manash, and they're a group, and they claim they're actually from the tribe of Manasseh, and I'm not sure if that's fully substantiated just yet, but the point is there was tribe of Eastern Manasseh was known to have gone further east, as well as the tribe of Reuben and Gad, because they were on the eastern side of the Jordan, and so they had made their ways further east into Saudi Arabia and parts of Midian and Persia. So it wouldn't be a surprise to say that there were some tribes or portions of Eastern Manasseh that just basically moved that direction east and never went west with the rest of the tribe of Manasseh. So I wanted to make that point. So there's Manasseh has a west and east, so their migrations are related to that as well. But again, the tribe of Manasseh had a lot of land, and they moved around, and they had two directions, west and east, that they mainly moved. So I'm going to leave it there. God bless you, everyone. We're going to be doing the next one will be the tribe of Reuben. So we'll continue it from there. All right. Take care and God bless.